I gotta say that one of the most frustrating aspects of Canada's current COVID-19 situation is the absolutist way in which we are approaching so much of it and so many of these rules, both the way government is approaching it, approaching the rules themselves, approaching the enforcement of it, and the way a lot of people are conceptualizing it. I'll give you an example. So Ontario now has the vaccine passport, a controversial issue. Many people support it, many people oppose it, but it is in place now. But the vaccine passport's been brought into place, but other rules have not been lessened. So, for instance, you go into the gym because you need a vaccine passport to get into the gym, and I guess you show the passport, you do your thing, you go in, you're working out, but there are still the rigid masking rules. You don't have to mask up when you're at the workout station, but you do have to mask up when you're walking between the workout stations and you're doing other things in the gym. And you're like, okay, so you're acknowledging everybody has the vaccine, and there's the screening stuff that says if you have the symptoms, you shouldn't be here, so let's assume people who are feeling ill are not at home. Let's also assume, therefore, that but probably nobody in the gym actually has COVID-19, so nobody has it. You've all got the vaccine, and you're all still wearing masks? Why didn't we forgo the masking rules? And then someone can write to me or say, oh, but Furey, etc., here's why we still need the masks and so forth, and they'll put forward their argument. You go, okay, well, that's an interesting argument. Maybe folks, here's a crazy idea, maybe folks should be allowed to consider that argument and then decide whether or not they will still wear the mask, even though they've got the vaccines and all those other things in place. Maybe the masks, for instance, should be optional in pretty much most settings. And we'll see how many people actually wear them. We found in jurisdictions where they get rid of the mask mandates that there are some people, many people, who still wear them. Because that's what getting rid of a mask mandate means. It doesn't mean it suddenly becomes against the law to wear a mask. It just means that, the cops aren't going to be called if you don't wear the mask. It is your choice. And the absolutist attitude we have right now is that there has to be 100% compliance on these things. That the further you get down the road, like I said, masking, even though all these other things are happening, and even though there's a very low prevalence of the virus and so on and so forth, you got the passports in place, that at a certain point, should personal choice, just a little bit, kind of factor into some of these things. And if you're not going to do it now, if you're not going to sort of change your approach and allow there to be a bit of personal choice as opposed to an absolutist attitude, when are you going to do it? We got to have this conversation as a society. I'm, of course, based in Ontario, where there have been times when we've been one of those lockdown jurisdictions in pretty much of the world. I think Ontario has the most regressive approach. I think there are other provinces that are doing things far more balanced, far more wiser than in Ontario. But I still think the Canadian attitude needs to be addressed a bit more as we approach the learning to live with COVID era. We know a number of chief medical officers, pretty much of most major provinces, have used that phrase, learning to live with COVID. And I think one of the main ways we do that is to transition out of the absolutist approach to all of this and segue to the personal choice, whatever it is. Maybe you're going to say, okay, masks in the gyms, now they got the passport, masks in the gyms are optional. Maybe 95% of people still wear them. Okay, that's fine. You're just allowing the choice factor to come into play. We got to talk about this stuff a whole lot more.